So, in my last video where I ranked the seasons from worst to best, I talked about how Season 8 was the season that I basically stopped playing For Honor on console, both Xbox and PlayStation, and I explained why. If you watch the video, you can just skip to the timestamp on screen, but I'll show it for those of you who haven't seen it. I don't talk about this much, but this is the season that I almost exclusively started playing For Honor on PC, as I don't enjoy playing it on console anymore because of this update. Again, I think the Wulin are fine for Honor. It's what UB wants this game to be, and it's clear that this is how UB wants the Wulin to be, but that doesn't mean I have to like it or enjoy it. It does feel like console is basically disregarded sometimes. Every update added to the game makes playing on console feel worse, and it feels like it just sits on top of the problems the game has. I know it's not because of the 30 frames per second. There's a lot that goes into why console feels faster and worse, but that doesn't really change the fact that it's not the way to play this game. I play on console sometimes if I have someone to play with or if I want to do a weekly arcade quest, but that's about it. Players are generally more laggy on console due to their setups and whatnot, making the Wulin a little more frustrating to go up against. I'm not against console players, as some of you guys have been thinking recently. I played almost exclusively on console for 7 seasons, but not anymore. In short, it's just frustration with the game on console, and the Marching Fire update was the tilting point. Now, a whole bunch of people don't like what I have to say about the Wulin. It's like as soon as I say that the Wulin are well-made heroes, that everything else is just thrown out the window, and I'm some sort of Ubisoft apologist all of a sudden. When I say that the Wulin are well-made heroes, I mean that in a broad sense. I think that UB did a good job at sitting down, deciding they wanted to make a Chinese faction and making it happen. They all have different movesets, a gimmick of some sort, and have value in most game modes without being buggy messes except for Jang Jun. I'm not making excuses for the Wulin. I don't even like the heroes. I'm just saying that they're not completely terrible. I mean, the game that really did it for me was against a full team of Wulins. There were 2 Jang Juns, a Shaolin, and a Nusha. It was a breach match, and I didn't even finish it. It was laughable. The enemy Nusha threw out maybe 1 heavy for every 15 lights. Shaolin kept kicking me. Somehow, Jang Jun was landing lights on me, and my team kept running straight into ganks, which didn't help, so I just got off. I felt like I wasn't even playing a fighting game. I felt like I was doing a reaction test where the controls weren't as responsive as they should be. I usually don't get too upset at the game because I try not to put fault on anything but myself, but when your opponents have high ping, you're getting hit by things you could have blocked, and you're being BM'd, there's no reason to keep playing, or you'll just keep getting more and more upset. Anyways, I do feel like console For Honor is like an afterthought nowadays, and the crazy thing is that this has been something that's been talked about for like a year and a half now, and after the Orochi rework became a much bigger deal. The answer that most people want to give is just to have UB bump up the game to 60 frames per second on console, and while I think that would definitely help in some way, it won't fix everything, because I mean technically everything is the exact same speed. A 500 millisecond light on console is still a 500 millisecond light on PC. The indicators show up at about the same time. The parry window is the same. On the left side of the screen is some PC footage. On the right is some Xbox gameplay. Now this is training mode, so this definitely isn't like an online match. Everything's easier to react to in training. This is just to show you the differences really fast. You get to see a lot more of the attacks on PC at 60 frames per second. You're getting 60 different frames of animation, whereas on console, you're getting locked at 30 frames per second. On PC, you can play at over 60 frames if you want to, which in my eyes isn't the craziest thing. The jump from 30 frames to 60 frames was extremely apparent, visually anyways. The jump from 60 to 144 was apparent but not as huge, and then the jump from 144 to 200 something wasn't too different at all. Honestly, a lot of it has to do with the delays, the input delay, your TV or monitor delay, the connection, all of that, on top of you actually having to make a decision and how you're feeling that day. Frame rate isn't the end-all be-all. It definitely has to do with how choppy the game looks, but when I played exclusively on console, I never really noticed choppiness because it was all I knew. I really feel the delay when I go from PC to console. Like after pairing lights on PC, I go to console and try to do the exact same thing, and instead we'll just get a block on say a Warden Light or an Orochi Light. I usually play on 2 different setups, but even when I plug my console into a really good setup, it doesn't hold up to PC. If I play on a wired connection, wired controller on an extremely good monitor, there's a big difference when I'm playing on my TV with Wi-Fi, but it's not perfect. And most people won't do that. Most people won't take their Xbox over to some really good setup. They don't care to do that for a 2-year-old video game, especially if they use their consoles to do other things like watch TV or Netflix or something. And I feel like you shouldn't really have to jump through so many hoops to not get so annoyed with the game. If you have the opportunity to play this game on PC, I highly suggest it. The only downside is that you'll lose literally all your progress and have to grind to get it all back. You'll also have to feel like trash for appearing to be a smurf and genuinely ruining the experience for newer players. You'll also have to buy all the heroes again, or buy the year passes again, or buy Marching Fire again, and basically throw all your progress down the drain, which is a huge turnoff and a big reason I stuck with console for so long, because of all the stuff I had, which is something I think Ubi should look into. Even if it's not from PC to console, maybe PS4 to Xbox at the very least, as it's annoying to keep having to start over every time you decide to play on something else. Anyways, I sometimes question how this game is tested. Maybe it's all in-house on PC, but I highly doubt that. I also doubt that no one's brought up how console play feels at home over there. We've gotten a confirmation that console won't receive any sort of bump in performance, which does sort of suck, but I'm curious if anything else can be done to make the experience more enjoyable. For example, when that guard switch bug was in the game, I saw countless people talk about how it should remain in the game as a feature rather than a bug, as blocking was easier. Maybe they could test out creating some sort of console exclusive feature that mimicked that bug in some way, because we definitely don't need to make defense any stronger on PC. There's also been players asking for an entirely different version of the game, which won't happen. Separate balancing would help a bit. It won't happen, but it could help. Although I do wonder what would happen if you did, say, bump all 400 millisecond attacks to 500 millisecond attacks. I don't think it's a good idea, but maybe they could test it out. Although it would be awful for the team at Ubi trying to keep up with 2 different builds of the game. Or maybe somehow introduce a way to change the way attacks work and have timings between the 100 millisecond intervals, like a 450 millisecond attack or something. I doubt any of that will happen, but we can hope, right? I feel like the Wulin were balanced for PC play, which isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world, but it's clear that console players are just dealing with it, whereas PC players don't really have too much of a problem. And I hate for it to be this way, but I think after this long that it's going to continue to be this way. I'm certain that the Year of the Harbinger heroes are all balanced around PC play, because they'd be jokes on PC otherwise, unless we find out that they're doing something brand new with those heroes. We'll find out in a couple weeks in the reveal though. It sometimes feels like luck is involved while fighting with all the variables going on. I think that with Ubi focusing on PC play, that console play has sort of been dumbed down almost, as sometimes you don't even need to think to win. In duels it's not as bad, but having a duel in Dominion on A or C feels really bad. I play Valkyrie and I sometimes find myself relying on lights, as I know that they won't get parried anyways, and to stay super aggressive so that they can't start up their offense. I don't think light spam is the biggest issue in the world, but in some matches it feels like defense is out of your control, and because of that I ask myself, why would I even want to keep playing on console when these problems literally don't exist on PC? At first I didn't think too much of it, but every season that feeling was growing on me, and while I don't think the trend will keep up with the Year of the Harbinger, I'll only buy the Year 3 pass on PC so that I don't have to be a part of whatever happens next. I'll play it on console when I have a friend on, or if my brother wants to play or something though. If you are a console player, I'd recommend trying to play the game on a monitor. It's even better if it's a gaming monitor with a high refresh rate. If not, try switching your TV to game mode if it has the option. Try playing with an Ethernet cable over Wi-Fi anytime you get the chance, and try playing wired. The difference is definitely noticeable. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. Sorry if it came out as sort of ranty, but I really just wanted to clarify what I meant when I said that I stopped playing on console, and to show some people that it's not all about frames per second. Playing on console has just sort of become frustrating, and I wish that there was something that could or would be done, but I really don't see it happening. I do want to hear from you guys though, so talk to me down in the comments about anything I talked about in this video. And as usual, if you agree with me or just like the video, feel free to leave a like and sub if you're new, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.